Welcome. So today we're going to talk about the first part of a 10-part free video series. Should you be working with a buyer's agent or a listing agent so that you can save the most money using the best online strategies, just basically the best strategies for buyers in 2019 and going forward, remembering that in many markets we are facing a seller's market and a lot of competition from buyers. So we're going to make you the best buyers possible, giving you armed with the best information, and then you can make decisions. So I have an outline right here, so I'm going to try to remember to do that. And that was the title. This is who I am. My name is John McConnin. I'm a real estate attorney and a broker in California. I've sold over 150 homes as a listing agent, most of those to multiple offers. I've done it all over Southern California, even some in Northern California, and I've referred properties out all over. I've also worked with buyers, including my wife, and I see what we go through. And so we're going to try to help you. In fact, that's what motivated me, how difficult it is to buy a home, especially when you have a home to sell first. And we're going to cover all that. But first, we're going to start with the best. After this video, where we're going to just set the stage and the questions that you really need to know these things before you can even ask the right questions. So first of all, quick run through. What are the roles? You got a listing agent, a buyer's agent. Generally, the listing agent will get a listing contract from the seller, and it'll be for some percentage. Let's say 5 or 6% is most typical, and that listing agent will offer 2.5 or 3% to the buyer's agents on the MLS. As prices go up, those offers of compensation of buyer's agents frequently go down to say 2%. And now we're going to cover this. There's a whole bunch of people trying to be disruptors, and they have different models, but generally they are still trying to offer money to the buyer's agents of 2 or 3%. If you're thinking of selling, right after this video series, we're gonna have a seller series to take advantage. Show you, we're gonna compare and contrast the models and show you which ones are best. But we're gonna save that for the next. Hopefully, I get to it tomorrow or the next day. There's gonna be shorter videos after this first one. So the listing agent helps the seller do everything. The buyer's agent can help the buyer's agent do everything. But frequently in this market, the motivated buyers, actually, the ones the seller is trying to sell to, have already tried to buy homes. They understand it's difficult, and they contact the listing agent directly. If you are not contacting the listing agent directly, you are probably putting yourself at a disadvantage. I know there's tons of buyer agents, and there's videos and there's information out there about why working with a buyer's agent is best for you because you have someone on your team working for you. But that doesn't do any good if you don't buy the house. 2/3 of the homes in California last year had multiple offers. As of March this year, the California Association of Realtors stated that 74% of homes received buyer's offers. And I can tell you from experience, those sales are frequently going to a buyer that agent represents, because basically, even if you don't think an agent's motivated by making 2/3, and I'm going to cover my own story in a second, the motivated buyers, the strong buyers, the ones who are making themselves great buyers, are presenting themselves to the listing agent. I know that because plenty of them have called me and asked me to review contracts for them to help them through it. They're like, I want to buy from the listing agent directly. It goes without saying, I don't even ask them anymore. We all know why. And they're like, but I want someone to help me review the contract, make sure I'm getting a good deal, explain the contract to me, help me understand the disclosures. And it's not just me. I mean, that's all over. There's questions on the net. And it's funny, as the older times, you used to see a lot of people saying, work with the buyer's agents. Now you see people saying, oh, listing agents are crooked. They're just not going to sell to anybody but their own people. Other people saying that's just a small percent. But, there's no reason why. And this is really the crux. If you're a well-educated buyer, there's no reason you can't go through the listing agent. So I think I just covered the ethics here. It is questionably ethical. I got into this business because I was selling my own home. I wound up having to hire an agent. I've got a story about everything I learned there and becoming a multiple offer seller in my seller's course. But the point was, we went to Florida with a bunch of cash to become investors. I then became an agent. I took the test out here because I could be a broker. But Florida has transaction brokers. They believe you can't represent both sides. So if the buyer's listing agent is also going to represent the buyer's agents, rather than claim to be an agent on both sides, they drop down to a transaction facilitator. I forgot the exact term. But that when I was there and I became a real estate agent, If I wanted to buy and sell, I dropped. No one claimed I had duties to both sides to represent themselves either. Just say we're facilitating the process, and we can't give each other's secrets away. California allows you to be an agent at both times. When I was a lawyer, I thought it was ridiculous. I was like, just get a buyer's agent. But the reality of the market over time have hit me. Plus, I can tell you that. Let me just get to my conversion story now. This is the story of my conversion from being a lawyer concerned about the ethics of being an agent for both sides, the impossibility really of that, the fictional idea that you could be, to the reality of the situation. When I'm a listing agent, my credibility in helping my seller sell in a timely manner, because they frequently either want the money, they're tired of showings, they don't want to do this again, they don't want to be prepared to move, they don't want to be on pins and needles, they want to get along with their life. If I'm helping them pick buyers, first of all, a lot of times some people just want the highest offer. But then you're like, look, you're already going over the amount lenders are going to lend. You need to pick a strong buyer, a buyer that can supplement. Let's say it's a 20-80 deal. And you're like, well, this is probably only going to appraise here, and you want that. This buyer understands it, but this buyer has the cash to supplement it. So they can really put 30% down so they can get the same amount of money and supplement it. There's all sorts of reasons that you want to understand the buyer situation. The biggest problem, the biggest hiccup in transactions is the buyer's lender. I can tell the listing agent that with the buyer's permission, I'm going to keep open lines of communication with the buyer's lender. Buyers agree with it because they don't want to be jerked around. I can put pressure on the buyer's lender to perform, telling me that my situation, and I can tell the buyer, hey, if you really want to buy this house, also have a backup agent. I frequently say, this company, we talk to escrow. This is one of the tips. I'll pass on future videos. When you talk to buyer escrow companies, you're like, who are the people who say when they're going to close, they close on time? Let's work with one of those groups. Let's also work with an online group. They're frequently cheaper. And, let's find out the best of both worlds and have two people on tap if we don't mind jerking around the individual. So that's one of the things we set up in the transaction. This way, it's good for the sellers. It can be good for the buyers. I promise not to give away anything I'm not supposed to give away, and I can facilitate the transaction. And my credibility doesn't get hammered when I get jerked around by a buyer's lender, which is so common. Buyer's lenders, look, this is the routine with buyer's lenders because they want the business. Oh, they're fully approved. Here's the letter. Oh, could you also tell me when they can give you a DU, a direct underwriter approval? You get that. It's supposed to be significant, but I find you get those, but then those last few days, then they talk about quality assurance or quality checks. And that's where they really either spend the money or do whatever it takes to find the buyer. And then they frequently have issues and they're like, oh, well, we got to overcome this problem. It is horrible for many sellers trying to time something to do with their lives. Moving trucks, moving on, buying another home. And it's also a disaster for the buyers to line up the moving companies. I've seen it where buyers are losing money every day in this situation where they can't move in. And then they're like, well, we want to move in. Can we lease it back? And frankly, that's something that should be discussed with attorneys, not just the agents. So that gets expensive. You're not an attorney like me. It's just a nightmare. So there are many reasons. I know people are saying it's unethical out there. I understand it. There are also reasons for it. So, but you don't have to worry about that. That's my, let's get you into the process. Now let's get you to the reality, which is what the rest of this series is going to be about. You cannot, as a buyer, I don't think you can work with a buyer's agent first. You need to understand your market. If you're in the $4 or $5 million home area and 90% of the homes are on the market for 3 months that you might be interested in and you're indifferent to a few, then it could be awesome if you work with one of the best buyer's agents in the area. And I've actually helped people with that. And in part of this course, I'm going to talk about that at one point. If you want to work with a buyer's agent, these are the circumstances, these are the times, these are the questions when researching who the best buyer's agent is, if you don't know it already. But I wouldn't believe the hype. I'm going to tell you right now, I give tips that I use with family members. I call the brokerages in those areas. I ask who in your office as a buyer has helped people purchase homes in this area. and then I talk to a few different ones on behalf of. This is what I've done for family members. I've done it for a few buyers. It's more work than most buyers want to do, but it's so maybe it's because I don't mind calling brokers and asking the right questions, and other people are embarrassed. Basically, when I advise friends and family members to do it, none of them do it unless they have me do it for them. Well, whatever. Okay, so that's one tip that we're going to see in future videos. And I go over the questions, and I go over how. I was just thinking maybe you get more credible answers when you're a professional doing it, maybe a lawyer too. Okay, so then you can even work with those buyers and get their knowledge and get a buyer's rebate. That's for future videos. But it's easy. You can get free only if 50% of the buyer's commission. Future videos. Next, I go over in the very next one. I'm going to talk about how to use Zillow or Realtor.com or really a realtor's website, but why you want to figure out who the listing agent is, how to go to the listing agent directly, and develop some questions based on your situation. The third video is going to be the questions. Okay, the third video in this series is going to be some basic questions. It could be as little as 3, but probably a little bit more based on your scenario. And we'll go over those, and you want to develop a set of questions for the listing agent before you decide whether you should work with a listing agent directly or a buyer's agent. And these questions will be designed to help you decide whether there's competition, whether the listing agent is already working with buyers, whether there's an opportunity. I like to pre-negotiate prices and expectations if you have that opportunity. And I know some of these questions, other people, again, on the net, people are so opinionated about this. They think it would be unethical because of their training. They get moron training about ethics when they first become agents. It's protecting the franchise without thought. So they spew, it's unethical because I was trained this way, without understanding the point. Your duty as a listing agent is you have a fiduciary relationship to do the best you can for your client. Sometimes giving away that information is the best you can for the client, especially if you have an intelligent client and you discuss it with them ahead of time. So talking about whether you've got other offers is actually much better. I know there's so many people say, no, you just have to make an offer and have other people say, hey, I might have offers. Well, let's make more offers. It's moronic sometimes. Because if you're saying, hey, we've already got full price offers from good buyers, so if you want to buy this house, make another offer. I would do that when I have 2 or 3. I've already got it in the bag. We're already good, and we want more. You don't want to chase them away. But we talk to my people about that. Why would they not want that information out there? Yet, okay. So anyway, you can see I could go on forever. In the next video, I'm going to try to keep my my passion out of it for now and just go through a very useful checklist for you. So where can you go? Let's see if I've got that. So winnerscheck.com, right now you're going to see a solar agent course. It's going to change. I'll put the solar agent course under solar when it moves. So create a course. Oh, so my point is I wanted to create a course and just knock this right out of the park and say the course is free or $50 or something. But I really can't do that until we know whether you should work with the listing agent or the buyer's agent. So for now, we got this 10-part video series, and then you can decide whether what is right for you for the next step. So my next video is how to use Zillow to save 2 or 3%. We're also going to cover Realtor.com. And if you'd like to get to that course where you'll see these videos and some other ones that I'm not going to put on YouTube and Facebook, winnerscheck.com buyer. That's really it. So if you'd like, it's just free right now. There'll be some bonus training in the end, but it's really just, I don't see how you can even pick an agent, work with an agent, choose me to refer it out, or if you're in Southern California, maybe work with me or someone on my team. I don't see it. We're just not ready for that yet. I mean, the first thing is we have to help you put you in the best position to buy the home of your dreams before you contact me about buying a home as a buyer's agent. Before you contact listing agents directly, why bother? Like, I could offer, I do. I have, right now, you could go to and set up a free strategy session. But I don't see the point of the free strategy session until we know what it's like for you to be a buyer. And I don't really want, like, if you're trying to buy in a competitive market, let's say it's a $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 price range in San Diego, and the home looks good and it's a nice school district, I'm going to tell you, you should probably be talking to the listing agents directly and not working with me. But I can help you do that. I think that we could have a course set up where I'm reviewing the contracts with you, I'm coaching you, but you're calling the listing agents. And let's say you determine, hey, I've got room to work with a buyer's agent start to finish and still get this home. Well, then you come over and you work with someone on my team, because there's reasons to do that. But first, we have to determine that you're going to get that, you're going to have a good shot at getting that home. And we even need to have a backup. Like, if all of a sudden multiple offers come in, I'm going to have to get on the phone with that listing agent and find out, how you could be the very best buyer you can be. Because that's really all our duties as realtors, to help you get that home, right? As a buyer, and help you sell the home as a listing agent. And if top dollar is your concern as a listing agent, if best prices as a buyer, those are things we have to work out with you. So anyway, winnerscheck.com buyer. After a while, I'm going to go through the series. I'm going to put some links under here, but that's the first one. We're going to be doing a series of 5 to 10 videos right now, probably 3 or 4 minutes a piece. And this was our intro video. So thank you. John McConnin, winnerscheck.com/buyer.